It's going to be a message that I believe that will resonate with you as it did with me. And it's something that I want you to think about your goals and dreams. Think about the things that you've said that you want to do with your life. And I think that this conversation that I'm going to have with you now will help you to begin to move with a sense of urgency, become more purposeful in how you approach your life and how you use your time, because of the fact that time is the lifeblood of life, and what you do with the time that you have left on the planet. Dealing with the coronavirus has done something for me. It helped me to begin to face the reality even more so that I have an expiration date, and not in a morbid sense, because nobody's figured out how to get out of life alive. But I was in a conversation with Jerry, one of my business partners, and he said something that really grabbed me, and it kept me up last night. And he said, and I want you to write this down, the journey that I have traveled up to this point is longer than the journey that I have left. Listen, I don't know whether or not this is making any sense to you. If that makes any sense to you, what he said, the journey that I have traveled so far is longer than the journey that I have left. And he said that. I'm 75. And so this journey that I've been on, all the things I've done, all the things I've seen, all the things that I experienced, all the things that I have learned, that journey is longer than the journey that I have left. And it was something that I don't know whether or not that hits you like it hit me. How much time do you have left? I don't know. And so therefore, when you look at your life in that context, at least for me, I'm looking at doing several things. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, I want to talk to people who are hungry to make an impact with their lives, who are hungry to make this year and all the years after the greatest time in your journey in this experience of life, the best you've ever had. That's who I want to talk to, because a lot of people don't know we're going to leave here. It's a part of the process. It's one of the seasons of life. And one of the seasons of life is enlightenment. One of the seasons of life is that you go through some stuff. One of the seasons of life is that you reach points in your life that you have some major breakthroughs. This was a breakthrough moment as I looked at and started reviewing what I'm going to get out of this year. There's no conversation that people are having now about Happy New Year. They're through saying those celebratory things now. But when I'm looking at my life as a father, as a grandfather, and as a great-grandfather, that what I do, how I approach my life, how I use my time, who I spend time with, who I will even get a telephone call from and speak to, that this is the time, and I want you to write this down, to share some points, because my goal is to finish strong. I want to finish strong. I don't want to just casually get to the end of life and, oh, well, that was a nice ride. No. My goal is to finish strong. There's some things that I want to get done in 21. And I'm looking for some people who feel the same way. But how many of you listening to me right now that you want to finish strong? See, here's what I know about this thing called life. It is so unpredictable. Unpredictable. And unlike any time that I've ever experienced in being on the planet, I've never been in a place where you are mindful of the very air that you breathe. There's two things you need in this thing called life that I know that's required. One is the ability to breathe. That's major. Without breath, you can't be here. Either you or a machine connected to you, that has to help you with the process. The journey that has brought me this far, this journey that I've traveled through God's grace and mercy that allows me to be here now talking to you, that journey is longer than the journey that I have left. And my goal and my commitment with my life and the time that I have left is to teach people how to make this year, to get it done in 21 and the years thereafter, the best you spent on the planet. Because you've gone through some stuff. You've lived through some stuff. You survived some stuff. You've made some stuff happen. You've made some mistakes. Some things have happened to you. And you've had some impact, and you've created some stories. See, I believe that all of us are born with stories of greatness within us. And then as we go through this experience called life, you wake up one day and you say, where did time go? I ask my son 3 times a day, what day is this? Tell me again, John Leslie. And the reason I didn't say what day it was, he told me, already forgot. This is what happens when you turn 75. You forget things. Oh my God. I used to ask my mother, Mama, why do y'all say, I thank the Lord for waking me up in my right mind this morning every Sunday? She said, don't worry, you live long enough, you'll find out. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Let me collect myself. Okay, so I'm thinking about that. And so the question becomes, to me, what are you going to do now on this journey that you have? If you, the journey that you have left, the path and the place where you are now, and as you look ahead and you look back, I said the other day, I said, look back and thank God. Look around and praise God. Go within and seek God, and look ahead and allow God to order your steps. Follow His word. And so this journey that I'm on, and knowing that the distance ahead for me is shorter than the distance I have come thus far. I want you to write this down, please. Write this down. And that is, live with a sense of urgency. Live with a sense of urgency. And people that are living with a sense of urgency, they spend their time doing things, one, that's them. That's them. This, what I'm doing now, this is me. It's not work. I can give a speech. I've given a speech. I was sick to my stomach. I was hurting in my body, going through all kinds of challenges. But when it was time, I remember I was at this event, and my son Calvin was with me, and I'd been suffering from sciatica pain. And so he brought me in back of the stage, and there I was having challenges walking. But he brought me in a wheelchair because I couldn't stand up at that time because of the sciatica pain. And then as we were waiting backstage for the person to introduce me, I noticed that Calvin didn't say anything to me. And usually before I go out to speak, we will have a conversation. He'll give me some idea of something that came to him that would be helpful to my presentation. And I'm saying to myself, why is he not saying, Dad, you can do this, you got this? Knowing that here I am sitting in this wheelchair backstage, I've never done this before. And I don't know if I have the strength and the energy to stand up and be on that stage and give a speech. They had a stool out there for me to sit on, but how does he know? What's up with that? Why is he not giving the motivator some motivation? I'm human. I need some motivation too. And so when they introduced me, he opened the curtain and they had the microphone right in front of that opening where it was. And I walked to it. I only had to take about 3 or 4 steps, and I grabbed the microphone and I gave the presentation, got a standing ovation later. So when he wheeled me back to my room, I said, Calvin, why didn't you say something to me that would encourage me and give me the mindset that I can give this speech today? He said, Daddy, when I saw how close the microphone stand was to the curtains, I knew that was walking distance for you. And I knew once you got to that mic and you put your hand on it, that it was done. I knew that sciatica was not going to stop you. I knew that once your hand touched that microphone, you were going to give that speech. And when I saw that, I said, we're okay now. He'll be just fine. And he was right, because once I grabbed that microphone, I went into another place. I went into a zone, because I was doing that which I came here to do.
What's your legacy that you want to leave behind? I know you're working on some stuff right now.
I aspire to inspire until I expire.
Try, man.
Yeah, I aspire to inspire until I expire. That's what I want to do.
That's it. And inspire who and how and
the
why.
planet. We're in a place right now. We were chosen, you and I, out of 400 million sperm. We were selected. There's something in you, there's something in me, there's something in Sam, something in David. We were selected for this time. Who will go for us? I got some bad dudes. Sam, David, Daniel. Wasn't he in the lion den? Yeah, but he kicked the lions behind. Oh, okay. Les, yeah, Kimber, Lauren, yeah, Jerry. And we're gonna send them down there.
Yeah.
They got this. We're on assignment. We've been deployed.
To go do something.
Yes.
You are so it's so clear that you're on a mission and you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. How do you get somebody who doesn't know? And I'm going to give you an example. I'm working with somebody, she works for Oracle, big corporate company, doesn't love her job, wants to help impact children, but doesn't have a plan and doesn't have a mission. And how do you help somebody?
It's not that she doesn't have a plan, she doesn't have a reason. What kept me going? I ask you, what's important to you? Your family. Even if you went through a major downswing with your family, with your business, because of your vision of yourself and the compelling hunger in you to provide for your family,
Yeah.
you'll snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. She doesn't have a reason. You got to find out what the reason is, because you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have challenges, but your reasons will give you the comeback power. Your reasons will empower you. I had so many things happen to me, but I was so oblivious because giving up was not an option. I have a mother that was depending on me, that I said, Mama, I promise you, you will not go to a nursing home. I promise you, I'll take care of everything. You don't have to do that, Leslie. I know, Mama, but I'm going to take care of you.
Good.
So she needs a reason. You got to talk to her and find out what's most important to you, and talk from that place. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost any how. She doesn't have a reason that's big enough for her to say, I'm going to do this.
Since we're there, right before we came on today, I was talking to him. You want to tell them the story about the 99-cent store, the dollar store, the Walmarts, the Neiman Marcus?
Yeah. First of all, he's still in diapers. I'm 72.
Yeah.
All right. I served at the Lord's Supper, so let's get that straight. I'm an old guy.
When he was 15, I was being born.
All right. Yes, and I believe that you're never too old to learn, and you're never too young to teach, and that's why I admire you, and that's why I have no qualms about asking you to mentor me in this next chapter of my life, because I'm not through yet, and there's much more for me to do. And I was talking to you about your model, going
Our
from
business
competing, his business model, competing with dollar store, all the way up to thousands of dollars. And that is so brilliant. One of the things, when I read the book, Alvin Toffler, Future Shock, and he talked about the fact that when we go from a domestic economy to a global economy, an education economy, the things are going to change, and it will be a time where people have to think and have to be creative and find ways to do what they do in a far more effective way, do more and do it faster and with less resources and manpower. You have mastered that, and you're teaching others how to do it. We learn, we earn, and we pass it on. And that's what I admire about you, that you're passing it on. It's not just about you, but you're building a legacy and empowering people who will go into a future that neither one of us will see, that will take it to the next level. And that's exciting.
How many speaking gigs have you done around the world? Any idea how many stages you've been on, Les? The legend, Les Brown, is in the studio. I'm so excited.
I've spoken to as many as 80,000 people. If people go online and put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, and the speech is called It's Not Over Till You Win. Dexter Yeager from Amway, he put that event together. The largest gathering of entrepreneurs. That was the largest audience of over 80,000. Last year I spoke in Poland to over 25,000. That was a very powerful gathering, but I've spoken in so many places.
How many times? I know you've been in Miami 4 times in your entire career.
In my entire career.
Only 4 times, by the way.
Only 4 times, yeah. And I was born in Liberty City.
Here, right?
Born in Liberty City, an abandoned building with a twin brother. We're adopted.
I'm a twin.
No, you're not.
Identical twin, man.
Whoa, we're fraternal twins.
Okay.
And so, he looks like my son because I use mascara to cover my gray. There's no shame. I put her on stage, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, but so Wesley and I, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. She had a 3rd grade education. She worked on Miami Beach for wealthy families. And my dream, as we were coming up, was to buy her a home. That's what drove me. And one of the families that she worked for, Mrs. Swiderski, used to listen to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World, and Bill Bailey and Glenn Turner. And that was early stages of cultivating my mind and my thoughts. The Strangest Secret in the World.
Okay.
That was the first motivational message that I heard that sold over 1 million. He was an insurance executive, and he created these motivational messages for his insurance agents to listen to. And their performance began to increase. He had just an incredible voice, and I loved his voice and his content. And then I ran into Jim Rohn, and he worked for a guy named Bill Bailey. He had a company called Best Line Products. And I heard Jim speak. I was fascinated by him and Bill Bailey from Louisville, Kentucky. And those speakers spoke into my life. I always tell speakers, I train them now, and I say that when we speak, we create, as you know, an experience, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. And so when you speak, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract them from their story with your story. Through the strategic execution of your story and the things that you have learned and the failures and the setbacks and the victories, you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to become, as Mother Teresa would say, to become a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives. Distract, dispute, and inspire. We create an experience. And I believe that the reason that many speakers aren't able to do what we do is they feel that information is important. And I can tell you unequivocally if information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You hear what he's saying, okay?
Yeah.
He's talking about the dismantling of the old story that you're telling the world, okay?
Yes.
And some people have the ability, the magical, miraculous ability to do that. This man right here has it.
You have it too.
Thank you.
I've been watching you. I said, you can't sneak up on the old man. I said, look at him. You think you're going to have bush feet? No way, Jose.
Me and Les Brown are going to be working together.
Yes.
March 17th, 18th, and 19th, right here in Miami. He's only spoken here 4 times in the world. You've probably been to Europe more than 4 times.
Oh my goodness, yes. I've spoken in Poland, in Johannesburg, South Africa, in Australia, in London, England, and Hong Kong. I've spoken all over the world.
And you know, Les, I mean, you're 72. I'm 58 years old. I now, you have 10 kids.
Yes,
I
5
have
boys
2.
and 5 girls.
He's trying to tell me to
You've
get
got
busy.
to pick up the pace. Yes,
Okay.
there's a little, so he said, be fruitful and multiply. I took him seriously.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Man. He's 10X. This dude is
That's what I'm
10X.
talking about. Can you feel a brother up in here? Yes.
I can. And so, I mean, look, you and I'm sure you do, and I'm transparent, so I talk about this. I know I'm at the, closer to the end of my career than the beginning of it.
I don't think so.
No?
No, because part of delivering this message, when you're in alignment with your purpose, I believe that gives you more time on the universe. Let's look at me. I'm 72, but I don't look it. I don't have a 72-year-old energy. And there's a difference between that physiological age and that spiritual age. And I think when you're in alignment and doing what you're supposed to do that pleasures God, it keeps you young. You have the energy of a 20-year-old. That allows you to be
But I mean, there's going to be a
channel.
time when you and I are not live in these bodies on a stage.
Without any question.
Okay.
And I'm not looking forward to that.
Les Brown, stay with me. We'll be right back for Power Players. Welcome back to Power Players. Grant Cardone here with the legendary Les Brown. We were talking on break. He promised a breakthrough in March.
Without any
How can you
question.
do that?
Because of the fact that what we do, we have the ability, and we've developed it over a period of time, and I don't know exactly when it happens, where you can speak to a crowd of people, and you're speaking to them as a group, but also individually, that they come away as a result of your speaking into them, and as we weave a story with our experiences because of who we are behind the words that we speak, because of what we've gone through. A person hasn't gone through anything, it's hard for them to reach somebody's heart because they've never been there. Sometimes God has to break a life before he can use a life. And so you and I, two individuals,
baby,
come on
church.
down. We've been broken.
Yeah.
And so he put us back together. And as a result of that we can be used, but we couldn't be used before. And so to me, to be able to be a channel to help people discover a part of themselves that they could never discover by themselves. That's what you do, that's what we do, and that's why people listen to us and come to us.
So why do people, so many people want to be public speakers, but are also fearful of it? And how can you help that person?
Oh, when the training that I do, that they speak immediately. That's the quickest thing to go. They speak immediately. You have to set them up so they don't have time to think. And so in the training, they speak immediately and they love it because I believe that we're supposed to be doing this. I had a lady flew from Australia recently and to be trained by me, and she emailed me and said, cost is not an issue. And so I asked her the second day, and I only train with people that I feel a close connection with one-on-one. And I said, why did you want to come to me? She said, I saw American television, and it talked about this young white boy that went into a black church and killed 9 people. And she said, I said to myself, what if I had gotten in his ear? She says, nothing enters except through the eyes or the ears. And she said, and this gave me goose pimples, she said, you speak from your heart. And I want to learn how to do that because I believe the world is the way that it is, not because a few people are violent. She said the world is the way that it is because too many people are silent.
Yes.
And I said, whoa. And I decided
That's awesome.
that my goal is to help people outside of politics and outside of religion, which polarize people.
Have a voice.
Yeah, politicians say, do as I tell you to do, and I'll give you a piece of American pie. Ministers say, do as I tell you to do, and I can teach you how to live after you die. And our goal is teaching people how to live right here, right now. Because the difference ultimately between what we do and what ministers do, they preach the gospel about Jesus. We preach the gospel that Jesus preached. They sell the messenger, and we sell the message. And so as a result, we can empower people to take charge of their lives and begin to create a new story, to write new chapters with their lives.
So like Les talked about the lady from Australia that says it's not because of the violence, but because of the silence.
Yeah.
I think most businesses fail. Most brands never make it. Most people never reach their greatness because they don't know how to tell their story.
Yes, that's major.
What will you be sharing with the audience? Because look, man.
Let me just share with you why the story is
important.
important. Yes. Why the story is important is because when you speak, if you're selling, you're an entrepreneur, you got a product, you have an expertise, knowledge is a new currency. People are asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so if you don't answer that, because we know people do business with
what, why?
Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you have? And why should I care? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And when you can answer that, now you're building a rapport and a connection that creates a possibility where you can do business together and help each other go to that next level.
Guys spoken all over the world. Emmy Award winner for fundraising for public broadcasting.
Yes.
Fortune 500 CEOs all over the world, small business owners, nonprofit, community leaders. You're an inspiration to me because you sit out in front of me and give me like what is possible. Right?
Yes.
So you've really been an inspiration to me. And,
Thank you so
I know
much.
millions and millions of others. I look
And
forward
you've
to
done the same for me, and you play it down. You're so humble.
No. I'm not humble.
Yeah,
I'm not a humble
you
man.
just humble bread. You just humble bread.
No,
but I ain't going for it.
I am not a humble man. He's going to speak on Saturday, right?
Saturday, yes.
Saturday.
And this is
But you got to
for
come
me.
in the night before, man.
I will come in the night before because I live here now.
Okay. Good. So we're
Yes.
going to have a yacht party.
Yes.
Can
I
you
look forward to
swim?
it. Yes, you can't be in Miami and not swim.
Dude, I've met so many people here that can't swim. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
What are you doing on planet Earth that's 2/3
Yeah,
water and you can't swim?
They won't be around too long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Les Brown, folks, a legend, okay? If you don't have his book, Laws of Success, okay, go get that book today on Amazon.
Yes.
You can get it anywhere, right?
You can get it on Amazon primarily. But the other thing I'm interested in people checking us out at the Les Brown Institute, because I think it's my mission to train these new voices of hope. When there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. We live in the greatest country in the world. There's something wrong when people try and outswim sharks to get here or outrun a Jeep barefooted to get here.
To come to the country.
And the suicide rate in America is higher than the number of people that were killed last year in car accidents. Something is wrong with that. They lost
Crazy,
hope.
man.
And we are voices of hope. When there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. And that's what my goal and mission I feel that God has with me, the Les Brown Institute, is to train people how to tell their story and to transform the lives of other individuals. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, he's going to stick to that because that's what he's been doing for 40 years, okay? And he's going to stick to you. If you're committed to your health, to your well-being, to your wealth, to your future, your family, the love, whatever you believe in, we want to help you. March 17th, 18th, and 19th in Miami. Now, look, if you can't get here, I'm going to stream it to them.
Yes.
We got people, a guy called me the other day and said, hey, look, I got 10 people, about 10 tickets. I can't get down there because of this.
Yes.
We're going to stream it to those people, okay? I know you got a bunch of your folks coming.
Without any question, and all my children will be there too.
Okay.
So that's going to have the place half full.
And you're going to be there to have fun, okay? I'm telling you, this is going to be the best.
Yeah.
He talked about that Georgia conference.
Yeah, Georgia Dome. I was speaking to 80,000 people. Call It's Not Over Till You Win. They can see it on YouTube.
Now, what if there was only 2,000 people in the room
It doesn't
rather than
matter.
80,000?
It doesn't matter.
But don't you think those
Trust
2,000
me,
would get more?
They will get more out of it because I'm going to get the butter from the duck. Trust me on that.
The butter from the duck.
Yes.
You want to talk about the pepper in the fork?
Yes, I've been eating hot pepper on the fork right before this event because I'm going to be fired up and hungry.
I guarantee he will do the single best presentation of his entire career because the bar has been raised, folks. Look at
Yes,
the
it has
people
been.
here, okay? Jay Abrahams. You know Jay?
Absolutely.
What'd you say about Jay?
Jay is very knowledgeable, and he's
Big
going to do
words.
yes, he's big words. But there's some people. There's a market there.
Because
Kevin Harrington,
every audience,
the audience is inside of the audience. Yes, I know, Chair. Kevin.
Infomercial genius.
Yes,
okay,
he's good.
Done almost $1 billion on infomercials.
Yeah.
You know Tim Story that worked with Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim is good.
Tim Grover worked with Kobe and Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Michael Jordan, the basketball player.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you play basketball?
Yes, and I got a good hook.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I think he's exaggerating.
Ask Michael
now.
about me. We were born on the same date. He and Jim Brown, February 17th. Absolutely.
I don't know, man. I think we're beyond public speaking now. Do you know this dude, Andy Frisella?
Yes, but not personally.
$100 million
yes.
earner.
Yeah, he's
$100
a
million
bad boy.
a year.
Yeah, that's somebody I want
Jamie
to know
Shanks,
more.
Roddy Chong, I'm bringing in a violinist.
You know
know this dude. He's a little Asian
yes,
dude. Makes about $3 million bucks a year.
He's very expressive.
You know
this
dude?
Yes.
Bobby Castro. You don't know Bobby.
No, I don't know
He's a
Bobby.
white dude, man.
Yes.
Right here in Miami.
Right here in Miami?
$600 million valuation.
What does he do?
Company. Actually, Bankers Healthcare. I think you spoke to
Yes,
this
I
group
spoke
once.
with there.
Okay. Jack and Telly,
No.
$1.5 billion business.
Man, what a powerful lineup you have. You know what?
Per year.
Per year.
Every year he bangs out $1 billion. There's
You
a
know
$1 billion list, but look, it wasn't gonna be complete
Yes.
without my man, Mr. 10X, the original 10X, because he had 10 kids.
Les, there's one story that I listened to many years ago, and I've listened to it recently again. And even though I watched your interview with Tom Bilyeu really on the
Yes.
Impact Theory, which was fantastic.
Thank you.
Genuinely it was. The depth of that interview, I learned more about you then than I think I'd learnt about you before because of the questions that he was asking you. It was were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Genuinely, that was just a world-class conversation between two guys that were clearly very intelligent and willing and open to share.
Thank you.
But the story that makes me always smile and it always warms my heart was when you got the job at the radio station.
Yeah.
And it just, because it reminded me of me when I was a kid, facing rejection.
Yes.
And how I dealt with that. Would you just share that story for my listeners?
Are you serious?
I love it so much. It was just such a great...
Oh my God! Spencer, are you serious?
I just want...
Give the overview of
ladies
that.
and gentlemen, I wanted to get a job at a radio station, and I was looking for a way to make it possible to earn enough money to buy my mother a home. And so this high school teacher, Mr. Leroy Washington, he gave a recommendation for me because he spoke to me and changed my life. I was labeled educable mentally retarded in school, and he told me that someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that interrupted the vision that I had of myself. And so he asked me, what do you want to do with your life? I said, I want to buy my mother a home. He said, how do you plan to do that? I said, I like to be a disc jockey. He says, very good, here's my card. Go to WMBM radio station on Miami Beach and tell Milton Butterball Smith I sent you there. I trained him. I said, yes, sir. I went to the radio station. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, I'd like to be a disc jockey. And he said, do you have any experience? I said, no, sir, I don't. You don't have any experience in broadcasting, journalism? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I was devastated with rejection. I went back and I told Mr. Washington, I said, Mr. Washington, they said no. He said, don't take it personally. Go back again, you gotta be hungry. He said, some people are so negative they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. So I went back again. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir, I'd like to be a disc jockey. He said, I know what your name is. Weren't you here yesterday? I said, yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? I said, yes, sir. He said, why are you back today? Sir, I didn't know whether or not someone was laid off or someone was fired, sir. No, nobody was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day, talking loud, looking happy, like I was singing for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I'd like to be a disc jockey. He said, weren't you here the last 2 days? I said, yes, sir. Why are you back today? Sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick or someone died, sir. No one got sick or died. No one was laid off or fired. Don't you come back here again. I came back the next day, talking loud, looking happy like I was seeing him for the first time. "Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you?" He looked at me with rage and said, "Go get me some coffee." And I said, "Yes, sir."
I love that.
And yes, and so I learned something from that experience about persistence. You know, Og Mandino said, persist until you succeed. And so I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I teach people, give before you ask. I would serve them. I'd get their lunch and their dinner, and I'd stand in the control room, watch them memorize their hand movements, and I visualized myself being behind the microphone, knowing my time will come. And then one day, it was a Saturday afternoon, and I was the only one at the radio station, and a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. And I was looking at him through the control room window, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd go and get him some more if he'd asked me to. And then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager. I said, "Hello?" He said, "Young boy, this is Mr. Klein." I said, "I know." He said, "Rock can't finish his program." I said, "I know." He said, "Would you call some of the other DJs in?" I said, "Yes, sir." I hung the phone up. I said, "Now he must think I'm crazy." I called my mama and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, "Y'all come out on the front porch and turn on the radio. I'm about to come on the air." I waited for about 20 minutes and I called him back. I said, "Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody." He said, "Young boy, you know how to work the controls?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Go in there and segue the records, but don't you say nothing here." I said, "Yes, sir." I hung the phone up. I said, "Now he must think I'm crazy." I got Rock out of the chair. I put a fast record on by Stevie Wonder called Fingertips, his first hit. I said, "Look out, this is me, LB Triple P. Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. You gotta be hungry." Thank you very kindly.
I really appreciate you sharing that for years I've listened to, and now I
I've
can
been
get it.
saying
I
that
get it
for
live.
51 years.
Wow.
That's how so. But even at 75, I still enjoy it because I teach speakers. Many times when speakers tell a story, they just run through it. Like an artist who's been singing a song so often, and they just improvise.
Yep.
You know, my former wife's Gladys Knight, and she does a song.
Your former wife is Gladys Knight?
Yes, I used to be the conductor of the Midnight Train.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so she would sing Midnight Train to Georgia, but she always did it the same way you bought it. And I love that, and I told her, I admire that about you. And so when you give a speech, you want to always tell it like you're telling it for the first time.
Yeah.
Because people in the audience, they're hearing it for the first time. And those who've heard it, they're gonna follow along with you, and they want you to do it the way you did it.
Yeah.
And so there are people in the audience yesterday, when I was doing it, they were saying, "Drink, rock, drink." They were waiting on me. They're with me step to step. And I enjoy that when you can come into a room of strangers and you can orchestrate an experience, and people begin to set back and their shoulders are high and they have this hunger in their eyes. I say, "You gotta be hungry." And then somebody will say, "I'm starving."
Oh, this
So
is epic.
I love this so much.
You know, both of you are talking about something that is so vitally important, and that is the whole idea of greatness. And let's talk about the process of greatness. So, what hurdles did you overcome to get where you are today? What, can I ask that again? What hurdles did you overcome to get where you are today? And we're talking about the process of greatness.
The biggest hurdle was the environment. To look around the community where I was born and raised, and to have a vision of something beyond there. And not having other children in my age category that had that kind of vision. and that kind of dream, wanting to travel and see the world. That's something that I was inspired when I looked at television and I saw I Love Lucy and the Jackie Gleason show and all those television programs. I wanted to travel around the world and see things, which I'm doing now, which I expose my kids to, and they travel. Only 15% of the population ever travel globally. But to remind myself that this is not my rightful place, that I'm not supposed to be poor, and that I'm going to buy my mother a home, and I'm going to get her out of here. A man, my mother raised us, she said, a man provides and protects. I'm old school. I don't believe that a woman should work and pay bills. A man should provide and protect. If she wants to work, that's good. But whatever money you earn, you keep that for yourself. But a man pays the bills. That's the era that I came up in. And provide and protect his family. And so when I turned 18, I sat my mother down. I said, you'll never have to work again. And I took care of her until she was 89 when she made her transition. And so having the mindset that I am more than a conqueror, not just in lip service, but in how I live my life, that I can control my own personal economy. I can develop the skill set that would allow me to create multiple streams of income and to be my own boss. I will never forget when I quit a job and everybody asked me a job, where are you going? I said, I have no idea, but I'm going away from here. You know, sometimes you have to leap and grow your wings on the way down.
I say, give yourself a going away party.
Yes, that's right. I did that for a CBS station in LA. I had a big luncheon for them. And they said, what's the occasion? I said, I'm going in another direction. You said, you are kidding. You earning over 6 figures for 3 hours on the air. Why are you leaving? I said, I told you I wanted to do the radio program at home. You said, you want to keep me here and have me under your thumb. I said, I'm not a under your thumb kind of dude. I'm taking myself away from here so I can control my own future. I don't want to give you that kind of power over me.
Wow, taking back your personal power.
Yes, absolutely. You want to be able to develop yourself so you have walk-away money. So that you can walk away. If the environment does not suit you, you can walk away. If you're not earning enough, you can walk away because you know that you can create it again, that you know that you have the ability. You've been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth, including your finances, to create a life that you love and that you're excited about. Helen Keller said life is either a daring adventure or it's boring. And so I live an exciting life. It's great to be me.
Yeah, I love that. You know, move away from people that further entrench you into possibility blindness. Move away from a culture and people, and then take back your personal power. I mean, that's so practical. If you've given it away, that means that you have the power to take it back. Take it back and give yourself permission to succeed.
The kind of conversation we're having right now,
Yeah,
people don't get this often.
they don't.
No, you have always marched to the beat of a different drummer. Henry David Thoreau said, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps he's listening to the beat of a different drummer. Let him march to the music that he hears, however measured or far apart. You march to the beat of a different drummer. And that's why as a leader, you impact and then you influence people because you inspire them through your example to raise the bar on themselves.
Yes, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. I want to throw out another question. What hurdles will the average person have to overcome?
Well, I think that the hurdles that the average person will have to overcome and the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome is one and the same. And that is to be coachable. Yes, I know. You're shocked right now.
I am
You're
shocked.
shocked right now. You know, the
Chevrolet,
world,
Honda, Toyota.
the world is filled with know-it-alls who accomplish very little. and the toughest thing that it is, and I understand it, is to take yourself out of the driver's seat and be led by somebody who's achieved greater results than you.
I can't believe I'm here.
Okay.
You know,
After a while, it sinks in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we often have bright ideas that we have, different projects that we're passionate about, but unless you have some strong leadership and a coach who can guide you through some things that you might not have seen or been able to anticipate, then you're not going to make it as far as you could. Many people are struggling as solopreneurs because they don't realize the power of teamwork. I'm blessed because I don't just have a dad, a great parent, I'm a part of a great team. And because of the coaching that I received from him at an early age, by the time I was 14, I was earning over $2,500 an hour. I was traveling, spending time on the road, on tour when most kids were still in school. And that foundation gave me the type of life that when I entered my 20s and I was doing things that many people did not know were possible, but I knew it was possible because my coach told me it was possible. I didn't believe him at first, but there's a difference between, wanting to be successful and being groomed for greatness. So when you get a coach and you identify a coach who cares about you, who loves you, who can see your potential when you might see your limitations, then you're able to outperform your greatest dreams.
Yes, and provides the enough pressure and tension between who you are and who you have the potential to be, and helps you to raise the bar on your own expectations. That's really, really good. And then you talked about the whole idea of a team. Someone once said you go as far as the 5 people closest to you. I say that they become your prophets. And you don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And I'm only rephrasing in sound bites what you just said. That's really fantastic.
Yes.
So
I heard a person that said their definition of hell is on your last day on earth, the person you are meets the person you could have become.
my gosh.
Okay.
Now, that's a good quote.
whoa.
And so we should take, part of the process
I'm gonna use that.
is not running around trying to meet everybody else, but spending enough time being introduced to your greater self, because your future self is going to thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your coach, your mentors, they can see your future self.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the quotes that my dad says, which I love, which is true, sometimes you have to believe in someone else's belief in you until yours kicks in.
Oh, I like that. Because sometimes we're blinded, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And thing about John Leslie, I learned so many things from him. Pivotal points of my life. He helped me to begin to believe in myself. And I was first diagnosed with cancer. And how old were you at the time you came in? I was about 14. He's 14. He came in the room. He said, "Dad, are you going to die?" I said, "We're all going to die one day." And he said, "No, but I want to know, is this cancer going to kill you?" I said, "Well, why are you asking me that?" He said, "You're in this room. I don't hear any motivational messages being played. The shit down. It's dark in here. Where's my dad? Is this going to kill you, or are you going to fight?" I said, "I'm going to fight." What made you do that?
I just miss my dad. And what most people don't realize, when there's like a diagnosis, like a cancer, for one person, the whole family is affected. The whole family's impacted. And I wasn't ready to lose you. And I'm happy that you fought. I'm happy that you reinvented yourself and developed different habits and started to get all the expertise about the diagnosis so that you could still be here today.
Yeah, he's
defying the odds every day.
Yes. He started letting the share stuff and said, you need to listen to something. You need to put some positive stuff in your head. And so I followed his directions. I believe you're never too old to learn, and you're never too young to teach.